And very rarely do you see a catcher drafted that high that turns out to be not only an impact player, but a franchise changer, and that's what he was for Buster Posey. Drafted in 2008, was in the big leagues a year later in 2009, part of 3 world championship teams, quiet, carried a big stick, didn't say a whole lot, but he was reliable, he was dependable, and just my opinion, I think he's going to find himself in a place in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Dependable on another level. Dealt with so much, a broken leg, came back from that, career 302 average. So you can look at the numbers and you think, man, what just showing up every single day, hitting in the middle of the order, being a guy that's squatting behind the dish and putting down the right fingers consistently, getting a pitching staff that was a really good one at times, and adding guys consistently to get to 3. He got 3 chips. I mean, when you look at the teams, you're like, well, how did they win 3 championships? Because you had winners, you had great people, and they all came together and consistently went out there and did what they need to do. He's special. He's going to be missed. And certain guys, I always say, you look at through a lot of these clubhouses, some guys are irreplaceable. It's going to be hard to replace this guy.
I'm with you, and we're going to get into it. I'll say this. When you have a rule changed in Major League Baseball because of you, you have street cred. We'll talk about that. But right now, Buster Posey on his retirement.
I'm sure there are kids out there today who've watched me play my entire career. They might actually be adults now. And there's parents and there's grandparents, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, cousins. They can still remember exactly where they were when Edgar Renteria hit the game-winning homer in Texas that led the 2010 San Francisco Giants to their first World Series title. Or when Sergio Romo stood on the mound, shook me off from throwing a slider, which still scares me to this day, and snuck a fastball past Miguel Cabrera to clinch the 2nd title in 3 years. Or when Madison Bumgarner came out of the bullpen in Game 7 in Kansas City and 45,000 people went deathly silent because they knew at that point the game and the World Series was over. Or maybe you remember where you were when Matt Cain stood on the back of the mound. He gazed up at the crowd, taking it all in before he recorded the final out of the first ever perfect game in Giants franchise history. To me, this is what encapsulates baseball. It's a lot more than just winning or losing games, although the wins do feel a lot better. But it's about the time spent with family, the countless nights and days pulling for your team, riding the emotions of the highs, riding the emotions of the lows, and ultimately enjoying the people that you're with along the way and making great memories together. I'm so very humbled to have played a part in some of those memories. To the fans, thank you for all your support I've received the last 13 seasons, and I look forward to creating new memories of my own and sharing them with family and friends as I pull for the Giants the rest of my life. Thank you.
Buster Posey getting a little choked up there. Not what we're used to with him. He was a flatliner, man. He was all business, Cliffy. I mean, what is it like? What is he feeling from the standpoint of, I'm done. My dream was realized, but now it's over. You guys both did it, right? So what does that feel like?
I think it feels like you did all you could do. You did all you wanted to do. You did all you wanted to accomplish. And then it's like, all right, now it's family time. Now is exactly who I want to be. But you always have to be ready for that moment. Sometimes you retire, unfortunately, you're not ready for it, or unfortunately something has put you in position to retire. But I think when you think about a guy like Buster Posey, when you accomplish so much and you have all the memories to back it up, you can ride off to the sunset and be cool with it and understand that I gave it all. This is exactly where I want to be at this particular moment. I've discussed it with my family. Everything is great. You're healthy, and you had a great career. In 6 years, DP, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. At some point, right, when you think about his career and what he's accomplished. So I think he's 100% fine, and I think this is when you retire, this is how you want to go out. That's how I see it. This is exactly how you want to go out when you hang it up and give them your jersey?
Well, I think every player, once you start, this starts when you're like 8, 10 years old in Little League, and it goes to, high school, it goes to college, and you sign professionally. It's the anxiety of climbing the mountain. And then when you climb to the top of the mountain, it's hard to stay at the top of the mountain. And it's hard to stay, and it's hard to be good. It's hard to stay off the injured list. It's hard to be ready to play every day, to put on that catcher's equipment. And I can understand where he's going to be. I think his most difficult time is going to be in the middle of February. It will be the first time in like 15 years of his life that his body clock, his internal body clock is, okay, rest the month of November. Convince yourself, I want to start working out now. It's December, but in reality, you probably wait till January. And then you hustle to get ready to get to spring training. And then when it starts, you think, how am I going to make it through 30 games in the Cactus League and then 162 games in the regular season? And the Giants were in the postseason. He's going to have a difficult time. He's not going to miss playing. And I don't think he's going to miss putting on the gear. But he's going to miss batting practice, being around the cage, standing there with Bruce Bochy, standing there with the guys, the banter that goes back and forth, when the anxiety at 5 o'clock when you're putting your stuff on and you're on the road, you're going to Dodger Stadium, you know it's going to be a hostile environment, you don't know what to expect in 2 hours. That's what you're going to miss. There's just something that the game does. It sounds crazy. But when you travel and you play this game, you get up in the city and sometime you're on a 10-day trip, you're not sure what city you're in. You wake up, you're not sure if it's a day game or a night game. But the one thing that this game does, it makes you realize that when you take a cab or an Uber, whatever you do to get to the ballpark, no matter how tired you are, tired is not part of the vocabulary of being a professional athlete. And what you miss is, you miss at 6 o'clock when you just feel like you don't want to take any more swings, you've got a game in an hour, but at 7 o'clock, you're able to tell yourself, it's time to go. And that's what you miss when you get done. You miss that, convincing your body and your mind that I have to go at 7:05. Nobody here cares if I'm tired. Nobody cares here if my arm is sore or my knees ache. It's go time.
Well,
that's the fight.
See, and I'll add to that, and I love that, Dan, because for us,